Dear viewers, our topic today is Chaucer's treatment of courtly love. Before we proceed with our discussion, it is pertinent to throw some light on the concept of courtly love. The concept of courtly love evolved from a religious attitude which shifted attention from woman as Eve, the origin of all human woes, to woman as the Virgin Mary, the pattern of ideal maidenhood. This tradition came to England with the invasion of French literary tradition in medieval times. The tradition of courtly love, also called the Rose tradition, involves the faithful love of a knight for his married lady, with whom he can never have a relationship. This is not a relation between husband and wife because, according to courtly love, a husband cannot be the lover of his own wife. That is a role to be taken by someone else. The lover's conduct must conform to a strict code of honor. In addition to the service of his lady, he must dedicate himself to the cause of women in a general sense. Now we shall discuss how Chaucer presented the tradition of courtly love in his poetry. Though brought up on the Rose tradition, Chaucer gave it an entirely different turn in Troilus and Cressida. It is a major work in which the genius of Chaucer finds fullest expression. It is, in a sense, the first real novel in English. It tells a love story with a delicacy of psychological awareness and a brilliant handling of plot. The story is presented within the framework of Troy. The Trojan War is the background. We see Troilus first, the gay young knight scornful of love, and then Cressida, the demure young widow, standing in the temple at a religious festival in the black dress of a nun. It is in keeping with her state of mind, as she is a widow and has perhaps renounced all worldly pleasures. Cressida is the very perfection of womanhood. Troilus falls in love with her at first sight and feels all the woes of the courtly lover. He automatically assumes that his beloved is unattainable, infinitely superior to him in every way. On the other hand, his friend Pandare has no doubt that all can be managed. This is courtly love, and it must be secret and outside marriage, free from scandal and the breath of wicked tongues. More is involved than the winning of Cressida's love. She has to lay aside her fears. Those fears are particularly strong in Cressida's case, as her father is a traitor who has deserted to the other side, and she therefore must be especially careful in her behavior. Pandare so manipulates things that Troilus and Cressida become lovers and continue to love secretly until fortune's wheel turns again. At a crucial point in the story, the exchange of prisoners takes place and Cressida is sent to her father in the Greek camp in return for Antenor. He is a counselor to the king Priam of Troy. The distress of the lovers and vows of eternal constancy show that the story is true to the spirit of courtly love. At this point, Troilus proposes that they steal away together, but Cressida dismisses the plan as dangerous. She fears scandal. She promises that she will contrive to get back to Troy on the 10th day after her departure, but she fails to fulfill her promise. Cressida is led to the Greek camp by Diomed, who is an experienced ladies' man. He lays siege to her at once, and she, unable to face the dangers of the return to Troy, accepts him as her lover. In Troy, the line of least resistance had been to remain in her single wedded state. In the Greek camp, friendless and bewildered, acceptance of Diomed is the easy way. She repulses Diomed's first attempt, and when she yields to him, she tries to convince herself that she has taken the right step in crucial circumstances. On the other hand, Troilus keeps waiting for her return. The picture of him waiting day after day until dusk at the city gates is one of the most poignant and perfectly wrote things in English literature. At last he writes and receives a loving but suspiciously evasive answer. Then comes Anagnorisis, and Troilus finds on a cloak taken from Diomed in fight the brooch that he himself had given to Cressida. He knows for certain what he had for some time suspected. With nothing to live for, he becomes bold and cruel in battle and is eventually slain by Achilles. The literary greatness and historical significance of Troilus and Cressida lie in the way Chaucer has presented and enriched the narrative. It has more dimensions than anything that had hitherto appeared in English. To top it all, he has turned the medieval idea of courtly love upside down. Woman is neither a symbol of constancy nor a paragon of virtue. She is a creature of impulse and changes color according to the demand of the situation. In the final analysis, it can be said that Chaucer has deconstructed the notion of courtly love in his great work Troilus and Cressida, as it were. He has proved that reality of human situation is far removed from its literary representation. He has highlighted the inconsistency of human nature. He has also exposed the real nature of courtly love, in which Eve is presented in the guise of Mary. Thank you very much.